Hey, it's Noelle here, and Victoria's also here. You probably can't see her, but anytime I do these longer recordings, she's like my energetic support. Um, Keeps my ADHD brain focused somehow. Um, but anyways, what I want to talk about today is I really just want to share my most like honest, real story on how I healed. I'm using air quotes because I want to explain what I mean by that. Healed my food relationship to the point that you see now when you see me on social media and like through my stories. I like to share my life with you. I like to share what's going on. And um, if you found me through TikTok or Instagram, you probably know, or even my website, know that before gut stuff, before the physical stuff, like the original seed, the original problem that I struggled with was really my mental health and my relationship to food. And when I think of that and then think of where I'm at now, where it's like relationship to food, my relationship to food, it doesn't feel like that was me in a way. It feels so separate from me that I think maybe that's why it's taken me even so long to share this story. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I have shifted so much and or evolved so much out of that, that it feels really distant. But that being said, I tend to attract women who, whether they're dealing with gut stuff or skin stuff or weight stuff, food relationship is like this almost like background noise that feels like a challenge in and of itself, that we end up working through together. So I guess the intention of this is for you to one, like see the real journey of how I got here and hopefully glean some gold nuggets around like the approach in a way that I took that got me here, as well as know that you could be in some really dark places with your food relationship and feel like you've been struggling with it your whole life and completely shift your reality to no longer deal with that kind of stress. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with just um trigger warning here. If you're dealing with a legitimate eating disorder, I'm gonna be completely raw and transparent, okay? So I'm not gonna filter myself. But basically, by like age 11, going on 12, I was going to eating disorder rehab, okay? It got that bad. Specifically, I don't love labels. I was dealing with anorexia. It's a terrible, terrible, I would say, version of restriction. If you've ever dealt with restrictive eating, you know what I'm talking about. And all of that was a manifestation of really, I think, I was overweight as a child and I despised it. I despised being heavy. And if you've struggled with your weight, again, you also know that some of it has to do with how you look, for sure. And some of it just has to do with like how you feel. It doesn't feel good to carry extra weight on your body that you know is not you. You don't have to be mature to know that. Like you can be 10 years old and go, I should not have a belly, you know? So I've always been very kind of attuned to my body in that way because I always felt like my body was this issue. Anyways, I was overweight. I believe that eating disorder manifested because I genuinely just wanted to lose weight to feel better and be more confident, but I just didn't have the tools. I didn't know what I was doing. I was 11 years old. And I want to make this point too, because I think that a lot of times we blame weight loss or we blame the desire to lose weight. How do I want to say this? We associate the desire to lose weight with like getting an eating disorder. And I feel like I'm the perfect example to kind of rewrite that narrative and go, I don't think I got an eating disorder because I wanted to lose weight. I think I didn't have the tools. And then I got myself in a tricky situation because I didn't have the tools and got obsessed. Um, but anyways, dealt with that post the depths of that restriction, then it's really common, dealt with binge eating. So it was like the opposite thing. And then just kind of got to this place where I wasn't super restrictive, but I wasn't binge eating. But I still I didn't feel like at peace with food. It was still something that I thought about all of the time. And it was quite frustrating, to be honest, because it's like, oh my gosh, I've overcome this, what felt like going through the depths of, I don't even know what, where I'm no longer dealing with that. Cool. I'm no longer binging and like the other thing. But like, why can't I just feel normal about food? Like, have you ever had that thought? Like, I just want to be normal, like, not think about every little thing I'm eating and be present. You do not have to have had an eating disorder to have experienced these thoughts. I actually don't know very many women who at one point haven't had this kind of inner dialogue with themselves and food. Zero shame about it. Okay. I actually think when we like acknowledge it, it takes away that shame. But at the same time, I don't think just because it's so common that it needs to be normalized. Because I remember how that felt. Not even the disordered eating, the like just not feeling at ease, questioning everything I was eating, and then overthinking it later, and then researching about food, and then like weighing myself. And like, oh my, that is so like, there's no peace there. There is no peace. When you're in it, you don't even realize how much mental energy you are spending on food in your body, and not in a positive way. I know a lot of people that care a lot. Actually, myself now, I'm very intentional about what I put in my body. And I definitely like take care of my appearance, but it's like a different energy. It's not this like anxious, fearful, obsessive control vibe. It's more of a like, I don't know, it's just like an ease, like I enjoy this, that. But anyways, my point around that was just saying like I don't think it needs to be normalized. That's just how we need to live. Because it's exhausting. But anyways, I'm living in this like quasi ED space, I would call it, of just preoccupation with food, never feeling at ease. And then, okay, I'm just kind of going through the motions. I was pretty young. Um, Always kind of dreaming of that like peace state. Okay, it's funny how God works because I got delivered the opposite of peace. Okay. So after overcoming that eating sort of craziness, I end up having all of a, what felt like all of a sudden, I start having really bad digestive issues. Like after the worst of the ED, I was out of that for a couple of years at least. No digestive problems at all, like none. I definitely had anxiety and some mental stuff, but like I didn't have digestive problems. And then like literally overnight, it felt like, wait, why am I getting bloated? Wait, I can't go to the bathroom normally. Ooh, I feel so gross after I eat. And like that's how it started. Thinking, what's going on? Like, what now? Was the thought, what now? And anyways, you probably, if you followed me for a while, you know my gut story better than you know the food relationship story because I talk about that so much. Um, but we went from 0 to 100 real quick. It was, I didn't have digestive issues to, whoa, 3 months go by and like all I'm thinking about is my stomach and my digestion because I felt so bad and I couldn't eat the way I had been eating. It's like I had been it's like I felt like I'd finally got to this place with food where I was no longer completely obsessed like ED. And now I'm thrown back into obsessing about it because of this gut stuff. And why I say it's kind of funny how God works is because at the time I was thinking like, what now? Like, why God? Why am I dealing with this? Okay, I've overcome so much. But just remember what I said, where I was like, I wanted to have true peace with food. That's what I wanted. Okay. Sometimes God, as you know, spirit, whatever you believe in, I use the word God, um, delivers to you, delivers what you want on a different timeline and through a different means. That just ends up being better. Sometimes it can look like more difficulty. But okay, I do the gut stuff, all of that. I go the doctor route, going to doctors. Like I felt looking back in my memory, it's like I was going to the doctors every day, but it was probably like every couple of weeks. So it's like going to gastroenterologist, you have IBS. Oh, you actually have SIBO. Oh, go on antibiotics, SIBO comes back. You have gastroparesis. Um, and again, I was kind of like, really, God? I have these things that doctors saying are chronic. Like I just have to live with them forever. And at the time I didn't know about like healing or like anything was possible like that. It was just like, this is what you have. The doctor says you have this. Um, and meanwhile, as all this doctor stuff is happening and I'm feeling like crap, my relationship to food was getting worse and worse and worse because I was trying to manage my symptoms, right? Like anybody would. Um, And I was coming to my own conclusions on like what I could eat, what I couldn't eat. And soon it was like 4 foods that I could eat. And that's what I convinced myself was like safe. Nobody, everybody knows that's not sustainable. I knew it wasn't sustainable, but there I was because of these physical issues. Okay. Um, at that point with the gut issues, and I know if you've struggled with um if you are struggling with gut issues or hormone issues, skin issues, weight issues, and you're on this, like, I want to heal myself journey, it is so common to end up in this place with food where you're like, oh my God, I'm obsessing over it. So some of us, we just continue down that obsession and then ideally run into a solution, or we say, forget it. I am not doing this with food. I'll deal with it. I'll just deal with my symptoms and forget it because I'm not going to jack up my food relationship more, right? We can go either way. Um, but yeah, I went down the route of obsession. And yeah, but okay, so I kind of reach a dead end with doctors for my digestive issues, meaning that like I was on different medications for motility and GERD and all this stuff, and like nothing was really helping. And again, my food relationship was just crappy. I saw one video of a girl who had gastroparesis. I told the story so many times. She made on YouTube and she just like shared her healing story. I'm like, what? You healed your gastroparesis? Like it was such a paradigm shift. Like you were able to heal these symptoms. What? Okay, that got me on the path to seek natural approaches to try to fix my digestive issues. And just feel physically better, like I was functioning again. Um, and that's where the gift started to unfold when it comes to my food relationship. This could be a 4-hour video, so I'm gonna, and I like details, so I'm gonna try to surmise what occurred in the gut healing situation that you can apply to whether it's gut stuff, hormone stuff, weight stuff, that ironically healed my food relationship. And that was when I went down this natural route of healing my gut. I mean, there's so many different routes to go down. This is the route I found that I now pass on to my clients and ideally here, whoever's listening, is one of the biggest things was learning that food could be medicine. And to me, what that means now is like food, different types of food that works for my body could help my physical body heal versus just be this like either food is healthy or it's not healthy. Either it's, low calorie or high calorie. No. Like different foods and different ways of eating could actually help calm down my gut and then take away, like help reduce that bloating, help me physically feel better. That was a new concept for me because I had seen food as like either it's healthy or not healthy. It was like, see, I saw everything through calories and like high sugar or low fat, like that kind of thing. If I was allowed to have it or not allowed to have it versus just like, how is this food going to make me feel afterwards? Like shift. It was such a shift. But what made it so real was like when I was making some diet changes through this approach, right? And like, I'm going to give a simple example. Like instead of having a bowl of like high fiber cereal, which I thought was like healthy with berries and like a big side of Greek yogurt, like volume eating, all through my eyes, healthy foods. Instead of eating that, and then instead having like a smoothie in the morning at that time with my gut and feeling in my body like, oh, my gut isn't as angry at me. Like I feel better in my stomach. Feeling that physical difference in how I felt started to make that connection for me with food of like, oh, like certain foods, the foods that I eat can change how I feel. That was so like magical to me. Like food actually is affecting how I feel, not just how much I weigh, not just if I'm going to fit in something or what the scale says. It could change how I feel. So, anyways, I start eating in this way that at the time was just designed to help me, frankly, like not be bloated, help me have normal bowels, and like just for my digestion. That's how I was eating. How can I eat so that my digestion runs smoothly? As I did that, it's like when my digestion was running smoothly, I wasn't bloated, I wasn't feeling crappy. And then mentally, because I wasn't feeling crappy, physically, like mentally, I was feeling better. And so it was like this aha moment after aha moment of, oh, wait, like the types of food and how I eat, like when it agrees with my body, I feel good. It was a very physical and like mental experience. So like as weeks and months went on, where I was eating in a way where I physically felt good, I started to create this very naturally, this positive association with like the way I was eating from like the healthiest place because it wasn't just around like my weight. It was like, I literally feel so good. I feel better. I feel good. I have energy. I'm not crazy bloated. It's like food became this like, well, no, I'll say it like this. I felt like I was understanding food better because I was seeing it as like, oh my gosh, this is like a tool. Like if I eat this for breakfast, I notice I feel like this. If I eat that for breakfast, I notice I feel like this. It's like in a way, I was also seeing it more objectively because I could see like if certain food, even if it was supposedly healthy, if I felt gross afterwards, it was like, oh, okay, that doesn't work for me. It's very different than going like seeing food as just numbers and like how much can you have or not. Do you feel that difference? And it's something that naturally unfolded as I got more aware of the foods that were working for my body. It was like an unfolding process versus just like a mindset shift. Because I think a lot of times with food relationship, there's a lot of focus on just like just mindset shifting. But the problem that we can run into with that, especially if you're like highly sensitive, you're in tune with yourself, you, yeah, we'll keep it at that. You can do all the affirmations you want, like food is good for me, I nourish myself, like all of those things. But if you don't feel good when you're eating, there's going to be a disconnect. If you don't know what the food is doing to you, like you genuinely just don't understand food. You don't understand, I'm gonna use a really simple example. Like you don't understand what foods legitimately will cause you to like put on weight or like how much food. And you're just like trying to affirm your way into it's okay, like food is just food. Like, no, food is not actually just food. That's another point I want to make here in healing my food relationship. And I think it's not the common message that's told around this. I think why I feel so free with food now is like I legitimately understand how it's going to affect me. And because of that, there's a sense of trust with food. If something is mysterious that you have to interact with every single day, no wonder you feel stressed. You know, if you're like, oh my gosh, I have to interact with this thing every 3 times a day, and I just don't get it in a way. Like I don't know how to eat for my body, and this is not an intelligence thing. This is just like not. It's not taught. It's not taught. So don't expect yourself to like have known this. I had to go through the depths. That's why I'm sharing it with you. So you don't have to do that. Or if you have, here we go. Of course, if something is mysterious and you don't understand it, there's going to be an air of stress around it. There's not going to be trust around it. When there's no trust, when there's just mystery and you can't relax. Remember when I said about healed my food relationship? What I really meant by that was like, I feel peace around food. I feel peaceful. I know how to eat for my body. I'm not thinking about it constantly. Why is that possible? It's because I trust food. How do I trust food? I actually learned what foods work for my body, how different foods affect me. You can't fake trust. It's built. Um, but I think that like with that piece, a lot of us try to, in a way, do that with the calorie counting and stuff, which I get because I did too. But what's interesting is like you can eat like 1,500 calories of Hershey's a day, Hershey's bars, and like not feel good and something be really off. And there's still like this feeling of like something is missing because you can't survive on 1,500 calories of Hershey's. It's very different when you learn to understand how food interacts with your body and how to keep yourself in balance. So back to the story, it's like my my gut issues forced me, literally forced me to learn how to use food as a way to feel better versus just using food to like keep my weight in balance. But what's interesting is like you don't have to choose one or the other. Because I think that's a big fear for a lot of women who You care, like you care about how you look. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think the more that we deny that, the more trouble we run into with the food relationship thing. It's like you can both learn how to eat in a way that makes you feel good and understand your ratios, like understand what your body needs to maintain your weight. You don't have to choose, but like coming to that peaceful place with food may require a like relearning how food really makes you feel and what foods don't make you feel good. What foods, when you eat them, trigger you in a way to go off the rails. The process of coming into peace with food, it's like a curiosity process. A way that I described it to a client actually is just coming back to me. It's like relationship with food. Think of your relationship with someone you love, say a significant other, and you just meet them. Healthy relationship, let's compare healthy relationship versus like toxic relationship. A healthy relationship, typically there's like curiosity about the other person. You genuinely want to know about them. There is like respect of each other. And there's this natural, again, in the terms of a healthy relationship, sensing for compatibility. Is what you're presenting to me, interacting with me, do I feel like crap around you? Or do I feel good around you? Think of it in terms of food. To have a healthy relationship, do I feel like crap when I consume you? Or do I feel good? Do I feel activated and triggered to binge? Okay, that's not compatible. Do I feel nourished and energized? And okay. And then also with quantity, it's like healthy relationship. You have some of your own space. I have some of my own space, and we come together. We're a toxic relationship. I need to be with you all the time. There's like no sense of boundaries. There's no sense of boundaries. Same with food. If there's no boundaries at all, you're going to start to feel weird. Things are not going to work. Same with food. If there's no boundaries, like, yeah, there's certain, I'm going to speak from personal, myself here. Where I'm at now with food, it's like, there are certain foods that I choose, not from a place of restriction, are not good for me. Why? Because they would trigger me to overeat, not feel good about myself while I'm doing it or after. And that would just throw me off. So I have boundaries around certain foods, and that keeps me happy. Those foods will be bought by somebody else. We good. There's a theme here with the relationship to food of like being real with yourself, being honest about things, and really actually seeing food more objectively than emotionally. And I want to emphasize what I said. It's like this was a process for me that happened. It wasn't like an overnight mindset shift, but how it started very tangibly was, and this is great if you are dealing with some kind of physical imbalance, you have gut issues, hormone issues, skin issues, you want to release weight, something. You can use that as an opportunity to go, oh, Maybe it's my opportunity to learn how to eat in a way that's going to help my body. Notice I never said um, I can't have certain foods, things I can't have anymore. The way I'm speaking is very intentional. It's even if a food, like for example, if I learned a food that I loved wasn't jiving with my body, didn't make me feel good, there's the human part of it of being like, oh shoot, I love that food. Okay, yeah. But like as soon as we go, oh, I can't have that, like see, that takes you out of your power and that gets you in this like victim-y vibe, and you're not that. When you just see it as just oh, yeah, it makes me feel like this. I don't want to feel like that. I'm a pass. That keeps you in your power, that keeps you feeling positive. And if you choose to have that food, here's another like just dose of realness. If you choose to have that food, at least you're choosing it from a place of like ownership and power, which in and of itself is healing. Back to me feeling free with food. I'm in a place now because of this like honest relationship I built with food where there are some times where there is a food that I'm like, yeah, I know that I'm not going to feel my best because that's like not a power meal for me. But the pro of me having it in the social situation, I'm going to choose that over not having it because I know I'm not going to be like in pain or anything, but I just like will not feel my best. But somehow it outweighs it. Like my soul wants it or something. I will own it. I'll just own it. I want it. I'll have it. Cool. The next day, I don't have it. You see that energy? It's like just I'm not perfect. Of course, there's certain things that like are not perfectly aligned for me that I still engage with, but I'm always doing a check with myself on like, where is this coming from? Do I really want to choose this? Cool. Am I going to choose it? Amazing. If I'm not going to choose it, okay. And I'm going to own it. Either way, you know? But what I think is funny and how I started this whole thing was just this freedom I now have with food. It all started from a situation that felt like the opposite. It felt like my body was against me. I couldn't eat anything. And like I was getting kind of like these setbacks when in reality, when I had dealt with the disordered eating and stuff, I had never fully gotten to a peaceful place with food. I wasn't there. And so I had to choose to see this situation, the gut stuff, as something that I was going to resolve and solve. And in that, when I chose to be in that kind of energy about it, then I was kind of like gifted this like, oh, I'm healing my relationship to food. Wow, this is amazing. There was moments where I was crying on the floor. There was moments where it was just like a hot mess. Totally. But the overall trajectory was like using it as an opportunity. Um, but yeah, so just kind of wrapping up, it's like I want to emphasize a few points. One, having a stressful relationship to food, it does not have to be your normal. I don't care how long you've been dealing with it. It doesn't have to be your normal. You can shift something the moment you decide you're going to shift something. You don't have to wait for something like really stressful to happen. You can shift it. Two, the creating of a healthy food relationship. Remember the analogy of a healthy relationship with another person. You can't fake your way there. You can't just affirm your way there. You actually have to construct a healthy relationship. And then the last point is, oh, there's like multiple things I want to say. Um, I think it's really remembering, like, what is a healthy relationship to food? To me, for you, like, what does that mean for you? And what would that give you? For me, what that means is like feeling at peace, feeling like I know what to eat to feel how I want to feel, to be able to go anywhere really and not be preoccupied with the food piece. To me, that's a healthy relationship to food. And I think because that's my definition versus it just being, oh, food freedom, I can eat whatever I want. I'm so against that, honestly. There's very few things I'm against, but that often gets you down the road of like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. That's a healthy food relationship. Check in. How do you feel? How do you feel about your body? There's usually some kind of incompatibility there. Um, but yeah, it's just feeling at ease with food. You know, if I can get there, remember the beginning of this journey, you can totally get there. And you might have to go a different route than is like typically talked about. I hope that you gained some gold nuggets from this, that you got to know me a little bit better. And of course, like this is what I work with women on one-on-one. And if it's something that you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to get to a place with food and my body where I have a healthier relationship with food. It's not this like big deal in my life, but I also feel good in my body and I feel how I want to feel, look how I want to look. This is why I do what I do. I work with women one-on-one, and all that information will be under this video. But thank you so much for making it till the end. And that's it for now.